Welcome back to Off Guard. It's your host, Austin Rivers, along with my co-host, Pausha Haghighi. We are back. My boy, how are we doing, man? Basketball seems to be on a great launch. We actually finally, for our fans listening, our listeners, we have a link. We have an Apple link, if I'm not mistaken. So now people can now officially listen to our podcasts along with visually watching it on YouTube. We'll provide more info at the end of this. But how are you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Yeah, that's kind of been the big thing. Everyone keeps either messaging me or when I see people in person, they're like, "Man, I love the clips, but we need the link." So I'm glad we're getting that underway. And yeah, man,
Yeah.
I'm excited about the way the season started. A lot to talk about. I don't want to lead off with the Lakers again. Last night they put on a show. Luka just Luka looks like maybe the best version I've ever seen of him. What do you think? And does he make the Lakers a contender?
Yeah, I think Luka's one of those players who I think we could agree on can make any team a contending team within reason. Obviously, I don't think he can go to the Brooklyn Nets and make them a competitive team, but he can go to most teams in the NBA and immediately make them competitive. He has that type of level. He is a top 4 or 5 player in the world. He has been pretty much since he's been in the league. Took a little step backwards last year, but there's a lot going on. The trade, injuries, that kind of derailed him. He looks like he's his best self. This is the best version I've ever seen of Luka. And the Lakers have been able to string wins without LeBron, which then kind of makes a new question, which we kind of touched about on our last episode. Is kind of what do you do with that? I think for now you bring LeBron back and see how everything is able to run. You're having Luka play top level basketball. You're having Austin Reeves play top level basketball, and even the other kid who Anthony Edwards apparently didn't know his name was. Um, uh, Shit, I don't even know his name. What's his name?
Jake Laravia.
Yeah, he's had an impact. He had another 20-point game last night. So they're tapping into something right now. They're able to win without one of their key guys playing. Obviously, LeBron's been injured, so it it's exciting to see. Lakers being good is good for basketball. We know that. I get sick and tired of talking about them just because there's such a big market team. It feels like every podcast, every show, every time I'm on TV, the topic of the Lakers comes up, and we're inevitably discussing Luke and LeBron, the dynamics of that team. But they are good. It is good for basketball when they're good, and Luke is just much to watch right now. Must
And
watch.
then, DeAndre Ayton couldn't go last night, so Jackson Hayes got the start, and he was 7 for 7, and he played really well. And I think if I'm the Lakers, they're definitely looking into does Jackson Hayes start, DeAndre Ayton start, because Jackson Hayes, the lob threat player that he is, he kind of unlocks more for Luka, I think, than DeAndre Ayton does. And I think that's kind of
Correct.
the kind of center that the Mavericks always had that made Luka really special. So I bet you the Lakers are looking into that.
Yeah, it's a proven known thing. Luca plays well with the lob threat and what he's able to unlock on offense with the weak side threes, able to kind of get the defense to collapse with the lob threat because of how well he can throw that pass. So for sure, Jackson Hayes needs to be ready to play. He's been a guy who's always been kind of up and down when he's got an opportunity. Um, a lot of people don't see him as a starting center, but he has that talent. So, with a guy like Luca, you saw what Luca has done for previous bigs. He can make them look very, very good. Hoping to see that with him.
That's why when you made a joke just now saying, I don't know if you could take the Brooklyn Nets to it, I'm like, all of a sudden, yeah, you throw Luca in there. All of a sudden, Nick Claxton's catching lobs. I'm
Yeah,
like, man, I
nah. I
don't
mean,
know. Maybe he
listen,
does make them pretty good.
I don't know if he can make him a contender. Do I think Luca could go on the Brooklyn Nets right now and make them a possible playoff team? Yes, I do. I think if you have Michael spaced out for three, Cam Thomas coming off the bench, Luca handling the ball now, like you said, Clayton, what's his name, Nick's, him
Nick
rolling.
Claxton.
Yeah, Nick Claxton. You got these guys rolling to the basket. Yeah, they probably could sneak into like 7 8 seed. That's how good he is, though. It's more so like he has the ability to control a game, and there's only a few guys in the league that can manipulate at that level. People can say whatever they want about Trae Young and where you rank him as a point guard in terms of single players being able to manipulate and control the entire game. He is one of the very few guys who can do that. I can tell you that much. So, you know, Luke is at the pinnacle of that, and I do think he probably could make them competitive.
Do you think that's what I mean? I think right now you would have Shea over Luca. if you were ranking players. But I think if you put Shea and Luka on, let's say, I mean, we're picking on the Brooklyn Nets right now, but you put them on a kind of a depleted team, Luka would do a better job carrying the team more than Shea.
Yes, yeah. I think so. Yes, if you put them on a depleted team, I think Shea would be able to score as many points as he wants because he's just that gifted. In terms of manipulating the game and getting everybody involved and making sure the game's played at your tempo, Luca is Trey Young, LeBron, Nicola. It might end there. That's probably it.
Yeah.
So that's who I have in that conversation. Luca just has those type of powers.
Yeah, and to wrap up the Lakers conversation, we can move on from the pod. LeBron coming back to Austin Reeves playing this well, Luca playing this well. The Lakers are winning games. I mean, would you like to see him in more of like we're going to use a Draymond Green role, but maybe more off the ball, how to make these guys better? Or do you think he's coming in gun ho?
I think he is who he is. Do I doubt his capability of doing that if he wanted to? No. I think LeBron could do whatever he wants on the basketball floor. I could think he could wear many hats. What he's willing and wanting to do, what they see him, what JJ sees him as, what conversations they've had, that's a different thing. I don't know
Yeah.
uh, how that's going to go down. I could tell you right now, you have these guys playing the best basketball they've played individually. When we talk about Luca, we talk about Austin Reeves. So how does LeBron coming back mess up that chemistry? How does him coming back mess up this flow? How does Austin Reeves and Luca continue to get this many touches? These are valid questions. LeBron's a dominant player with the ball in his hands, though. He's not a freelancing, cutter, slashing, off-ball 3-and-D guy. He's never worn that hat his entire life of playing basketball. Okay, so that's a valid question. I don't know if I have an answer to that. I think if you're LeBron, you want the continued success of these young guys, especially to carry this weight during the regular season to save his legs. I would like him to be a little bit more off the ball. And then when guys go to the bench, he can continue to be who he is, LeBron James. But I think with those guys out there on the floor with him, all three finishing a game, depending on how the flow of the game is, if he's having a great game, then obviously he can finish it. But I like him being a cutting, slashing wing, spot up shot guy. And then when he gets the rebounds and stuff like that, if the ball's kicked to him, then he's LeBron. Let him do your thing. But if the ball goes to a basket, we're running back on offense. I don't want the LeBron getting the ball, bringing it up, and being like, "All right, let me run the show." I would like Luca and Reeves to continue their development of what they're doing right now. Personally,
Yeah, that makes sense. The Thunder are the last undefeated team left. The Bulls and the Spurs got their first losses last night.
yeah.
Is the Thunder are without Jalen Williams, who was an all defensive player last year, obviously an all star. Is the gap that much bigger now between the Thunder and every other team in the NBA? Them being the last undefeated team without their second best player?
I don't know if the gap's that big. There is a gap. They are the best team in the NBA. They were last year. They won the championship. Now they're undefeated. Coming through already a few weeks here. What are they? 7-0, 8-0. So they're off to a great start. They've stamped why they won last year, and they've stamped early on this season that we're going to be one of the best teams, if not the best team. Does this matter come playoff time and it's 0-0 and they're in round one versus whoever? No, it doesn't. So the
Yeah.
regular season is always an indicator for me. It's not the end all be all. It's just a good indicator of where teams are at, how well a team's playing. Will the Thunder be playing this well the last 8 games of the year? Who will be healthy? These are the questions that matter when it comes to the Thunder. The Thunder are a team that aren't after regular season titles, division titles. It doesn't make a difference. Conference championship, that's not what they're aiming for here. Their only goal for them would be to run it back, especially after going to the mountaintop, seeing what that's like, holding the trophy. There's nothing else that matters to a Thunder fan or anybody in the OKC organization other than winning a championship. So them being 8-0 is just a good validation of who they are as a team, that they're coming back, guys are accepting roles. It's hard to win back-to-back titles. You win and then guys come back and everyone's feeling themselves and guys have got new contracts and now, new roles are talked about and guys change. Some guys get a ring, they're like, all right, it's time to do me. This is the mindset of some players. So it's always hard to repeat, not to mention every time you play another team, you're getting their best effort. If you're playing the champs or if the champs are in town, you're giving them everything you got. So it's a lot to repeat. That's why it hasn't been done that many times recently. In the past 7, 8 years, it's been a new team that wins every single year. So this is the challenge that they have. But they are the best team in the NBA, Pasha. They're the
Yeah.
best team in the
And
NBA. But yeah,
like you alluded to, teams that usually win, like the Celtics last year, the regular season means less. People sit out more. The tricky thing about the Thunder is they're so young that they're just not doing that. Like this year, they're coming back, and for example, yesterday they played a
yeah.
winless Pelicans team on a Sunday, and I'm like, maybe they don't get up for this game. They win by 30, and Shea has 30. And I'm like, maybe they're just that kind of team because they're so young and gifted that they don't, in the way they play with Case and Wallace and all these guys, Alex Caruso playing so hard, that they're not gonna sit. They're gonna win 70 games this year again, and just take the regular season that serious. And it's just crazy that they're doing it without Jalen Williams.
They're deep. They're deep. They got a very deep team. They have multiple assets. They have guys that are tradable. They have defender on top of defender on top of defender, wing on top of wing. You have the best guard in the NBA on your team. You have one of the best rim protectors on your team. And then in terms of putting together a solid 3 or 4 man list of 3-and-D guys, I don't think there's another team in the league that has more capable defenders in this team. So they're like strongest at damn near every avenue here. They have depth. They have defense. They have the best guard in the NBA. They have one of the best rim protectors in the NBA. They have multiple playmakers, and they all buy in and play their role. And they all know who the best player in the team is. It's a lot of right with them. Very little wrong with OKC. So when we talk about repeating and teams that have the capability to go out there and dominate again, to where we're like looking for that next dynasty. Boston won, and we were all like, man, they're gonna win 5 years in a row. Didn't happen. A lot's changed for Boston. They have a completely different team. This team kind of gives you a different feel. Feels like Sam Presti's got a little bit more stronger grip on this team in terms of longevity, contracts locked up. It's hard for me to see a team beating this team 4 times out of 7 games.
Right.
The only team I even think that could be remotely competitive to them, fully healthy in a 7-game series, just due to how well he can manipulate a game. We just talked about that would be Nikola. He took that same team to 7 games last year with a much worse depleted Nuggets team. Now you add some of the guys and assets they've been able to add this summer, they're a different team. So
Okay, so that was kind of what I wanted to do with you next. Is I was going to name some teams, and you tell me if you actually think they're a contender for the championship, or maybe if I name an East team, they could win the East, or you could tell me if you don't believe in them at all. And we'll start with Denver. The Cam Johnson trade looks like it was a loss for both teams. I don't know. I think the Nets lost a good piece in Cam Johnson. And the Nuggets look like, he just hasn't been shooting the ball well. I know it's early. But the Nuggets for you are that team.
Hasn't shot the ball well. It's kind of an understatement with Cam. He's been cold. But it's very early. Guys like that can have 3 games in a row and their percentage to be completely changed. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah.
It's a little too early to judge Cam on his shooting. As of now, yes, he hasn't shot the ball well. Michael with Brooklyn is just the darkest of darkest black holes that you'll ever see. I love Michael, but and it's not even his fault. Their team just doesn't have anybody else that could score. It's him and Cam. Quite frankly,
Yeah.
It's hard to watch.
2 black holes on the same team.
I got to call their game tonight, and I'm just like, please, for the love of God, make this somewhat competitive. Ant's not playing because he's hurt, so that should help out. The game they're 0-7. The Nets have not won a game yet, right?
Yeah.
So they're going to be the worst team in basketball. It's frustrating because they actually are well coached. Jordy's actually a hell of a coach. And he can really put together guys that play hard, very strategic defensive coach. He's a very capable head coach in the NBA. It's very hard to judge him because his team is very bad. And
It's
I don't
the same
know
as
what
the
you're
Utah with Will Hardy, right? Where he gets the extension and people love Will Hardy. He's probably has one of the worst winning percentages in coaching history. So imagine his ability to coach.
It's brutal. It's brutal because you look at some of these other coaches and their winning percentage and their accolades and where they're at, and like some of these young coaches who are getting these opportunities, which is great because people believe in them, people think they're talented. There's not so much they could do. Their winning percentage is terrible, and then when they get fired, they really don't have anywhere to go because they're winning. like, look what they did, but it's not their fault. Like, what is Jordy supposed to do right now to win a game for the Nets? He has even the team he had last year. You saw were better when they had all those guys before they had to trade them all because they had all these assets last year. They had Dennis
Right.
Schroeder and they had Cam Johnson before they made the trade. And they had Finney Smith. These aren't guys who are stars, but these are like role players on any other team who are vets who know how to win. You saw the impact some of these guys had on these young teams. You saw what happened with Schroeder went to Detroit, the things that he was able to do for that program. So he had those guys on the team last year. Brooklyn was actually winning some games early on. Like they were actually competitive every game. They played very hard. That's because they're well coached. Jordy's a hell of a coach. But then you get rid of all of these dudes. They don't have a lot of high draft picks, so they're all draft picks from all over the board and signees that they have on this team. And this trade, yeah, they just haven't improved. They've just gotten worse and worse and worse. And like Jordy, just as a coach, you feel for him because he can't really do much with that. That team is going to be hard to watch this year. You know what I mean? They're going straight to the lottery. And hopefully they can get a guy like AJ or some of these young talented draft class that's coming out that can maybe turn these things around for them. You know what I'm saying? So yeah,
Well,
it's
the
tough.
scariest thing is that the Spurs have the Hawks pick this year. Trae Young's out. If the Spurs somehow get a top 3 pick and they get a Cam Boozer or I don't even know if they would want Peterson or DeBanza with all the guards they have
No,
already.
I would go with Boozer. I would put Boozer next to Wimby.
And then just win the next, and then them and OKC could just battle it out for the next decade, and everyone else could maybe just
Yeah.
enjoy the show.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if he
But
goes there, if they get Boozer with Wimby, I don't mind a wing either. They need a wing or a big. So they could go with like an AJ or you go with Cam. That's who if Spurs has a number one pick, you draft Cam or AJ. Probably for just potential sake, you probably go AJ maybe. AJ next to Cam's not bad. I mean, next to Wimby wouldn't be too crazy of an idea either. Having
yeah,
AJ and Wimby and Dylan Harper for your future would be absolutely with Stephon Castle because you already have a wing too. So that's another thing. So I don't know. They have too much talent already as is.
yeah,
And you know what's interesting to see is how quickly the NBA and professional sports can change due to ownership, not wanting to pay guys, not being able to pay guys. Having a cap in the NBA really does make it such a strategic game. It's not baseball, man. If we had our league run like the MLB, the Lakers would be in contention every year. The Clippers would be the best. The Clippers would have more banners than the Lakers if there's no cap. Because if you had an owner like Steve Ballmer, he would just pay everyone anything because he has more money than everybody else. You know what I'm saying? Like it'd
and you
just
wouldn't have to
be
fake it with the tree planting fiasco. You could just
you
pay him
you
outright.
you said it. You said it, not me, brother. I'm not taking that one. But yeah, that would be what it'd be like. So it's nice that you have these small market teams, OKC, Milwaukee. These teams get stars and are able to keep them and not get poached like you do in baseball, where guys always end up playing for the Yankees or playing for the Dodgers. It seems like the Dodgers win every year. There's a World Series, just like the other day. And I look at it. I don't follow baseball, so I was just like, "Who's in it again?" Like Dodgers. I'm just like, well, I don't even ask that question. The Dodgers are in it every year.
Yeah,
That's the way baseball works. So it's that non-cap is um
yeah,
so you see it with some of these guys not being able to get paid, not being able to be on these teams. We talk about it all the time. The glooming thing over OKC. They're very good, but they got all these young talented players who are playing their ass off. You can't pay them all. Like OKC's not. It's going to be the Harden Ibaka thing all over again. I'm not saying to that extent because they're more spread out this time around. But like you can't keep them all. You can't keep Ibaka and James Harden and Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant. Someone's got to go. And that's what started James Harden's career in Houston. So it's like it's tough making these decisions, man.
yeah. But with OKC having the picks they have in the future and how well they draft, it just seems like they're probably going to rebuild around that big three anytime
No,
they
they're
want,
they're
right? And then, like
prime.
you
They're
said,
prime.
getting off of Caruso eventually,
Yeah,
like as he ages and stuff like that, would probably be
but that
the
won't
main.
exactly. It won't be that hard to do though, because you got Case and Wallace, you got Wiggins, you got some of these other guys. They'll be able to let some of these other guys go because they have more picks. They're way
Yeah.
more spread out this time around, to where this run for them is going to be anywhere from a 5 to 10 year run. I really believe like they have that type of um, uh, Golden State ish type timetable where remember they won two or three of them, and then there's a break, and then they went back a couple years later. Like that's what I see with OKC is going to be in the championship run for the next 7-8 years.
Yeah.
That's a long time in
You, you,
sports for
you
that
brought
team.
up them being in a small market. I have a question. Only you as a player would know this. Do you think them being in a small market at a town like Oklahoma City where there probably isn't that much to do, is that working out in their favor where they're just locked in and that's why they're undefeated? They're like hoops only?
Yeah, listen, if you want me to be honest, do I think where you live and the location of where you're at can help your players focus? Absolutely. These guys play a game at what's that arena called? Uh, whatever it's called.
Is it
What's
Chesapeake? Am I getting that wrong?
the Chesapeake Arena? I almost called it
Man, I thought I was
Cheesecake
a
Arena.
producer on that one.
Yeah, they play at Cheesecake Arena, and then after you live in Oklahoma City, you it's
Paycom Center. Hey, can I
Paycom
say something?
Center.
Not even close. Not even
No, I
close.
think it used to be called that. It used to be called that.
Okay.
Maybe. Anyways, they play their games, and then yeah, you're in Oklahoma City. I talked to a couple of the Milwaukee players. I was like, "How do you like playing here?" Just shooting the shit, small talk. And a lot of guys are like, "I like playing in markets like this because there's nothing to do except work on my game and focus and lock in, and then I go home and be with my family. Not out doing this or doing that or getting invited to this or there's none of that shit. So it's like you have all summer to do that if you're a player. It's refreshing, I think, for a lot of guys to just be able to focus. So does it help the Thunder? I do. If you put um, this team in, if you put the Oklahoma City in Brooklyn, Shea would be modeling, doing all type of stuff, which would be cool for his brand. I don't know how much, you know what I'm saying? It'd just be different.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so I think that stuff
I
helps.
mean, could you compare
Michael,
your life in Minnesota versus when you played for the Clippers? I mean, where you weren't leaving the house, you were probably locked. You probably locked in on League Pass in Minnesota a lot more
for
on a
sure, there's a
Tuesday night.
difference. Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
difference. There's a difference. Just in terms of just availability to do things, opportunity to do things, stuff that probably is good for you individually from a brand point of view, might not be the best for you as a basketball player.
Right.
And a lot of times, guys get to the NBA and go to these big market cities and forget why people are even interested in reaching out to them in the first place. It's only because you ever good at playing basketball. Don't ever forget who you are. That distinction and that blurriness can creep into players' heads when they start branding and doing too much things outside of what brought them there. So it's nice to be in small markets like OKC. I mean, I even saw Shea talk about that in that starting five Netflix stuff. He talked about kind of the peace and tranquility that comes with living in OKC and having a family there in a very family, religious oriented town. And he just gets to stay focused, and it helps him. You know, it helps him. So I
Yeah.
definitely know there's a difference from the places that I've been.
Yeah. So
New
going back
Orleans
to
being
naming
the
the
hardest.
content.
New Orleans is like you can just
Well,
get like a.
we're gonna get to New Orleans and in a
Okay,
minute.
good.
Going back
I'll
to
get
the
my shit off then.
contenders, the Nuggets, you have them as a contender. What about the Rockets?
I don't know if the Rockets shoot well enough. I don't know if they shoot well enough from three. So I have my concerns from their three. Them losing Van Fleet was a lot bigger than I indicated, and we still just haven't really seen Reed Shepard. He's had a game or two where he's played well.
Yeah.
We got to see him perform versus some of these top tier teams and see what he's capable to do at that spot because it's an issue for sure.
Yeah.
And
And
Fred provided spacing at the very least with his jump shot and his experience and just know how he's a savvy vet point guard. You lost that. Now it's like KD's out there and you got the Thompson still learning, Shepard's still learning. These guys are very young, but you're asking them to win now. Two different things. It's two different things. Those usually don't go hand in hand until you get like you know, I don't know. It's just hard for a guy that young. So Shepard doesn't have the reps coming into it this year with 0 reps. Guy was a top 5 pick last year, didn't play. Now suddenly this guy goes down. You're the starting point guard, and they're asking you to do things that you're like, whoa, it's a big deal. I do think he'll settle in, but until I see that, and until I see this team shoot better, like guys like Torrey Easton, some of these guys who are there, Jabari, if they start shooting above 40 and spraying it from outside, then we can have a different conversation. But I look at teams like them and the Pistons, some of these teams that were competitive last year, still will be this year. Obviously, they got Sangoon and all these guys down in Houston. They're talented beyond. But shooting's an issue. I like Denver over them because of that.
Okay, and for the next group of teams, who do you like the most out of the Lakers, Timberwolves, Warriors, and Spurs?
Lakers, Timberwolves, Warriors, or Spurs? Ah, man, that's a trick question because I love the Spurs right now. But in a playoff series, I don't know if they can beat Golden State just with how savvy Golden State is. Golden State is a funny one for me. It's hard to judge them. I don't know because it's like I'll see them lose games during the regular season, but it's like in a playoff series, I don't know how that goes with them. Could you beat them 7 times with those guys on the floor? I don't know. You got Al Horford, Draymond, Jimmy, Steph. It's a very experienced lineup. My God, you know what I'm saying? So they're tricky to judge. I try not to put too much weight on them in the regular season. They got to win just enough games to stay out of that play-in. But right now, for regular season's purposes, to answer your question, the Spurs. They are lightning, and they are just so exciting to watch. They're explosive. They're talented. They defend. They listen to their coach. You can see there's a spirit they play with, that Spurs basketball, but altered because, obviously it's not Pop over there. They do have a new coach, and they have new talented players with the NBA being different. It is different. It's not the Ginobili, Duncan, Parker Spurs with the ball just flying around the perimeter, but they have that essence about this team where everybody gets along, everybody plays their role, but just in a new talented 2025 version of that basketball-wise.
Right.
And Wemby's something we've never seen before. So I'm going with the Spurs.
Yeah, and I watched
like
the
your
Spurs
pick.
play the Suns. Excuse me?
I like your pick. You have him as MVP. I think it's a good pick.
Well, you know what? I thought so. Last night he had his first bad game of the season against the Suns, and the Suns did a really good job the way they handled him. But I think he had 9 points, and I kind of thought we were past those days where he would have a bad game. Like if Jokic or SGA, one of these guys, they have a bad game, it's still like 18, 12, and 5, but it's their bad game. Last night Wemby had a very just
that's a difference.
he still hasn't gotten over that hump, I guess.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Like a bad game for Luka's like 26 points. He had 29 last night. People were like, oh, I thought he's gonna go for 40 again. He normalized it. He played the first 5 games. He has 40, and now like if he doesn't have 40, people are like, what's wrong with him? It's like, bro, 40 is a special game.
What's wrong?
Yeah, like some of these guys are nuts. But yeah, that's true. He might not be over that. Like Shea's not scoring 9 points, man. You know what I mean? Like it's just he's getting 12 free throws alone. So it's like it's not happening. That might be the difference. That only happens because he doesn't go to the basket enough. It's my only ever gripe with his skill. Sometimes is to his detriment. I talked about this with Giannis, my interview with him for Eye for the Game, which will launch pretty damn soon here. I talked about I was like, bro, people always talk about like your skill level. If you had a jump shot, would that take away from the things that you're great at? He's like if Shaq could shoot threes, he wouldn't have dunked as much because he's shooting threes. So it's part of Wemby's gifts of him being so talented and guard-oriented, which are fantastic because he's unguardable in these ways. Granted, sometimes it does hinder him in ways when I start thinking about how it takes him away from the paint. There's no one down there to guard him. So when I see him have 9 points, the reason why I'm like, he can't be past that hump yet because 9 points should come off free throws alone for him. A night. Austin Reeves gets 10 free throws a game, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like some of these guys get Luka Doncic gets to the line whenever he wants. Shea walks to the line 6-7 times per period, per quarter. So it's like when I see Wemby having 9 points, someone who's 7'6", I'm just like, how many times did he settle? How was he pushed out the paint because of his weight? Do you know what I'm saying? There are some things that like he has to get over. He was 4 for 14 last night, 1 for 5 from 3-point. He had 0 free throws, Pausha. 0 free throws. It's impossible. It's impossible. And he's skinny. So anytime you drive and bounce off somebody, it looks like a foul. He should be getting fouled all game.
Yeah.
So that's my issue with him. That's the next level for him.
That reminds me of like it's the same logic with Steph being able to drive, right? Like you still want him to shoot threes, and every now and then when he's around, because Steph can finish, right? And he can finish around the rim. He's very crafty. But he doesn't just do that instead of shooting threes, right? Like he shoots his threes and then he'll break your back with a crazy finish, and that's when you're like, oh, okay, how do you go? Like Wemby should be still eating around the basket, and then a 3-pointer or a crazy shot comes to kind of
Yes,
seal the deal.
that
It
should be
shouldn't be your go-to.
that should be the icing. His
Right.
steady diet should be in the paint. He should have a steady diet of being in the paint. In terms of everything else, that's all dessert. The 3-point line, the crazy moves, the plays. I have no problem with that, but I need you to establish yourself in the paint every game. Steph hits those crazy threes, but he also has floaters and he'll have a wide open midi and he gets to the basket because people are overplaying the three. He has a steady diet of mixing it up. If Steph just launched bad threes the entire game, he would be a fraction of the player who he is. He'd be Duncan Robinson. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like Duncan Robinson just runs around and fires tough threes and he can shoot. So that's what he's out there to do. He does a good job of that, but he's not a star player or anything like that because that's what he does. If guys who have the ability use it, that's the problem. I just sometimes Wemby has too much. He has too much game. That sometimes I see him out there dribbling. I'm like, bro, I just would love to drop it to you in the post, have you face up, and now it's 1-on-1 with you 4 feet from the basket. You're 7'6". Do the math. He's unguardable. Even if you cut him off, he'd just shoot over people. Can't guard him. I,
Yeah.
I would really sometimes the evolution of our game, the bag work is so important to all these players of them getting their skill level out beyond the 3-point line. I'm all for it, but bro, we live in a day and era where we don't have these big ass shot blockers just living in the paint. If you could live in the paint, get the free throw line, you could be Shea Alexander, lead the NBA in scoring every year. I think that's the greatest example I have right there. If you don't think Shea could shoot 10 threes a game, he could. He can get that three off whenever he wants. Shea lives and breathes around the paint. He lives there. He has a stay. He dominates it every game. He gets to that foul line. And then he hits the crazy three-pointers and the pullbacks and the step-back middies. He lives, though, in that basket. And he's 6'5". Imagine being 7'6". There's no reason for him, my man, not to have 0 free throws in a game. There's no reason for him to have 0 free throws. It's impossible.
Yeah. And it's
So
almost
that's the
like having
levels.
all of those tools. It's the next phase for him would be learning when to push the right buttons, when to use the right one, when to use the fadeaway, when to use the three. And like you
Yeah,
said,
yeah.
being around the paint is probably going to be the primary thing. I mean, you
That's the
spent the summer with Akeem
non-negotiable.
and KG, right? You spent the summer with Akeem. You spent the summer with KG. Like, you come on, they're in that mix. They're in the paint,
No, yeah,
and that's what we want to see out of him.
yeah, of course.
Yeah, and in the Eastern Conference, I know you have the Cavs as a contender, and it's tough to judge them with Garland out and their injuries. And also, they won 60 games last year, so you know that they don't really they want to win like in the playoffs. They don't really care too much about the regular season. Is there any other team in the Eastern Conference you see as a real contender at this moment?
Contender against who?
A
Okay,
contender to win the
OKC.
championship. Just a winner. Oh,
Yeah,
well, a
like
contender to win the championship.
someone to go to the finals and beat OKC.
Sure.
From the East,
Yeah.
there's
Well,
nobody
you're going to
that
say
can beat them.
nobody. You're going to say nobody could beat them.
There's not a team in the Eastern Conference that can beat OKC. There's not a team, not one,
But Cavs would be
not
your
one
pick.
team. I think the Cavs match up with them very well with their size, and I think a second place team. I'm not even being biased. I think a second place team would be Milwaukee. I don't think Milwaukee could beat some other teams in the East, though. That's how much matchup matters. I think
Yeah.
with Giannis and Miles Turner down there in the paint with their length, they bother OKC. Now, remember, last year, OKC wins the finals. Who won the in-season tournament?
Milwaukee.
Who'd they play? Who'd they beat?
The Thunder.
He manhandled them. He manhandled
He
them.
did.
Do you remember that game with Giannis? They have no one to guard him because those defenders, although they're great at sliding their feet, their size is nowhere near where Giannis is. They have no one that can guard that dude. They have guys
Right.
that can guard guys like Anthony Edwards. They have guys that can guard wings. They have those guys. There's nobody to guard Giannis. They don't match, and they don't have a what's it called? It's too light. Chet's too light. You can't
Well,
bully him.
even in the playoffs last year, you saw they put Caruso on Jokic a lot, and they tried to do all
Yeah,
these different things. But you're
because Chet
not.
couldn't.
Giannis is something completely different than anything like that,
Yeah,
right?
there's nothing like him. There's nothing like him. Chet's good as the secondary defender because he can come over and use his size to block shots. He doesn't have the strength to guard Giannis. What he can do is let Isaiah or someone else, a Wiggins or someone like that, or Dort, maybe try to push him out. And then if he gets to the basket, you come over to use your size to try to. That's where Chet comes in as a secondary defender so he can use his ability to block shots, not a primary. So they struggled with that last year. And then you add now Miles Turner, who's like a new and improved younger version of Brook Lopez. So they have so much size down there for Shea getting to the basket. I'm just telling you. and they have a bunch of wing defenders, and they can shoot the shit out the ball. They have 3 guys in the top 20 percentage-wise: Torian Prince, Gary Trent, and AJ Green. All top 20 in percentages for three-point line. Then you add a KPJ, you add Bobby Portis, you add Miles Turner, the Rollins kid now who's spurting out, having a big time.
Ryan Rollins has to be one of the most Googled athletes in the last few weeks. People are probably like, who the hell?
Yeah,
especially after that game against the Warriors.
He's been cooking. Bro, this dude got arrested last year for shoplifting.
I saw that.
And is now closing games, hitting buzzer beaters. So, or not buzzer beaters, but like hitting big time games over big time closing ice in his veins shots over Jimmy Butler. You know what I'm saying? Like, NBA is a funny place, man. Like, but like their team is very under talked about. Do I think they could beat New York in a 7-game series? I don't know. Could they beat Atlanta or Orlando? I don't know. Do I think they somehow do match up with OKC very well with their size? Yes, similar to Cleveland. I just don't know if they could get there. Sometimes it's about matchup. Do I think they could beat OKC? No, I don't think any team in the East, quite frankly, could beat them. Best chances, though, I do think are Cleveland, and right behind them would be, strangely, Milwaukee with their size. I believe that, yeah.
Yeah, and I think Milwaukee, they started the year off underrated, under the radar, everything like that. The more Giannis is going to play like an MVP player, and the more guys like Ryan Rollins are going to step up, you're going to get KPJ back. I think it's just going to be more out there as a contender. I think they're like not going to be under the radar anymore. You know what I mean? I think it's just going to be pretty much out there.
Remember,
especially in a weak East.
We didn't take the Pacers seriously either until the playoffs, right?
We shouldn't have. We shouldn't
exactly.
Have.
They weren't playing at a high level. Tyrese Halliburton had a terrible start to the season last year, so nobody saw them go to the NBA Finals. So people sleeping on the Bucks right now is fine. We slept on the Pacers, and then next thing you know, we're raving about them during the playoffs. Oh my God, the way the ball moves! Now I get it. We see it. That's how it ends up happening. The Bucks are very similar. The ball pops. It only stays with one player, but that one player is the third, the second to first, wherever you want to rank them, best player on the planet. You know what I mean? It's Giannis. When you talk about the best players in the world, only 3 to 4 names come to mind. And it's the same 3 or 4 names that have been there for the past couple of years. It's Shai Alexander, it's Nikola Jokic, it's Luka Doncic, and it's Giannis. They're the 4 greatest players on the planet, and they are way above everyone else. And then there's a giant gap.
Think with Wemby knocking the door.
And Wemby is on his way up. Victor Wembanyama is on his way up to knocking on that door and putting himself in that conversation. And then there's that second tier of guys, Anthony Edwards, Kate Cunningham. You know what I mean? That's that second tier of guys. There are more names I'm forgetting. Donovan Mitchell, whatever. We can go down the list. But that first tier is a different list. You know what I mean? And those guys, when you have one of them, you're always in contention. We just joked about it with Luka, being on the Nets. That's how quickly one of those guys can turn around a team. LeBron at one point in his career, Pausha, you could just put him on any team in the league. They're going to the finals. That's how good he was. He took that sorry-ass Cavs team to the finals, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could just put him on any team. They're good. That's how it is. With some of these high-level players, they can make and break a team. It's for sure.
Yeah, and I'm glad you named those guys being the best guys, and then the second list. That's where we're going to have to head to our next conversation, and it's a sad one. Ja Morant was either on that list a couple years ago or heading towards that list. And with everything going on, being suspended by the team, do you think it's time for a fresh start? Or have you given up?
Yes. I haven't given up on Ja. I've given up on Ja in Memphis. And it has nothing to do with their coaching staff or front office. It's just where their relationship's at. And where his energy's at. It's not even them. It's what I'm looking at. Again, we're only on the outside. I'm not in Memphis. I never played in Memphis. I never lived there, thankfully. And I don't have any. I don't have any ties. I don't have any ties. So I'm super on the outside looking in here. From what I'm getting and from what we're all seeing on the internet, the suspensions. It's been a very bumpy road the past couple of years, okay? It's not been smooth sailing for Ja in Memphis as a whole. Let's just talk about it. Take with the exception the first year or two where he was just exploded on the scene and people thought he's a reincarnation of Derrick Rose. To fast forward to now, you're right. Now, was he ever in the top 5 players in the NBA? No, he was not on that list. But he was on that he was in that second tier. He was on his way. But first off, second tier guys, we're talking about Anthony Edwards, talking about Jalen Brunson. We're talking about superstars too. Not superstars, but yeah, they are. We're talking about
No,
1A,
super.
1B
Yes,
guys.
I think
Yeah,
John
we're talking
Morant
about
was superstar. He was a
yeah,
top seed in the West. But those Dylan Brooks teams, until they got rid of Dylan Brooks, who seemed like he was a big part of the identity over there, and they used him as the scapegoat to get him out of there. Those teams were dangerous, and I thought
yeah, they were.
they were in contention. Yeah.
With when they had Dylan and Baines and Ja and Triple J, they were, and then even like they had some of those other guys, the long, lanky guys off the bench who could play. They were
Brandon
dangerous.
Clark,
Like,
who's always has been
yeah,
dealing with
yeah,
injuries.
yeah. Brandon Clark, who's been up down injuries, but he's a good roller for them. Played hard. You know what, man? I say this: guys are hurt more when the team's bad, though. Like if all those guys are on the team and they're winning a lot of games, Brandon Clark finds a way to be back on the court. It just happens. But
Yeah.
when you go play for a shitty team, man, your team's not winning. Like, who's throwing Brandon Clark in the pick and roll pass right now? He's just like, I don't want to play. It just
Right.
happens. I'm just
It's like
telling you,
Grant
the
Williams on
worst
the
team.
Hornets right now. Grant Williams is
Yeah, it's
injured
like
on the Hornets. I don't think they're bringing him
I
out
haven't
yet.
seen I haven't seen Grant Williams in 2 years play. You know what I mean? Like he's hurt right now at the Hornets.
Take your
If he was
time.
with if he was on a really good team right now, you just find a way back to the court a little bit faster. It's just
Right.
how it works. Um, so yeah, it's tough, man. I think it's time for Ja to get out of there. And again, it's not a reflection on Memphis as an organization. I don't think they've done anything wrong. This is a reflection of what I'm seeing on the outside of what the relationship looks like and the energy I'm getting from Ja and the overall play. Did you watch the game versus the Lakers?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? There's just a certain energy and zip I'm used to seeing that kid play with. He used to play with this
He looked like he
infectious.
didn't really want the ball in the fourth when he got put back in,
Nah, it's
and yeah,
just a strange jaw to see. You know, we were accustomed when John Morant first came in the NBA, he was like a second coming of Derrick Rose. Now he didn't have that strength and size that Derrick had, but he had the explosiveness, and he had the speed, and he had the ability to jump in the air and do things that you've never seen a guard be able to do. He is that freakish of an athlete. John Morant has some of the best dunks I've seen in the past 15 years of the NBA. I'm talking about the past 50 years of the NBA. He has like 5 of them. He has unbelievable plays. He is one of the freakiest athletes to ever play in our game. And we see this the first couple of years, him take this jump. Hell, he was playing better than Ant at one point. Do you know what I'm saying?
right.
That's where we kind of compared him to. Like him and Ant were going to be some of these new American faces. And it just hasn't gone that way. Ants continue to just climb. And some of these other players, Tatum, all these other guys have just continued to climb. And Jaws just stayed right there. His jump shot hasn't.
Him and Zion got drafted together, 1 and 2, and I truly think those two guys, along with Ant, these guys were going to be like the Team USA of the future with those three athletic freaks. And to
Yeah.
see Zion and Ja both look like they probably, I mean, the Pelicans are 0-6 or something.
Yeah.
It looks
Yeah.
like both of them would benefit off just a fresh start somewhere else, right? Like
For
I
sure.
saw Norman Powell talk about being in the Heat and what he's noticed, and he said players around the NBA look at the Heat like you have to be in shape. It's a lot of work. I don't know. And now he's like, now that I'm there, I love it. I love being held accountable. That's kind of what you want right now for a guy like Ja or Zion, who's dealt with weight issues.
The
Ja with off the
questions
court stuff.
the questions offer what could he handle that? You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Can Zion handle that? He has his own, you know, people involved who run his health stuff. Remember, they butted heads with New Orleans. His food, his diet. Could he be in Miami? Could he take that? Could he play under Pat Riley? Could he live in Miami? Talk about the off the court stuff. Could Ja Morant be in Miami? I don't. You know what I'm saying? Can he not only thrive in Miami as a human being? Can he play for that strict of an organization? I'm just telling you. That's what I'm saying. Like, so some of these guys aren't cut out for this shit. I at some point we got to look at the player. These max player guys get to do whatever they want. They have most of the power. So when I see a relationship go sour, not to say that the front office doesn't do shit because they do. All right, not to say that coaches don't make mistakes because they do. All right, this is a group fuck up right now. What we're seeing with Zion and Ja, but you got to look at the player. Okay, at the end of the day, the players are the guys who are going to give you. You only get what you're going to get with them. If their energy's right, then this thing's off. You can already see Josh getting suspended. We're not even 3 weeks in the season. He got suspended from his own team from telling the media, "Go ask the coaches." They know. That's terrible.
Yeah.
So it's like, where does this go forward? I don't know. They're not good. They don't have a good team. Okay, So his frustrations with that alone are not going to help. He's a very talented player still. So I'm not giving up on Ja. I'm giving up on Ja in Memphis. I think Ja could go somewhere else and be electric. Same with Zion. Zion's numbers are still very strong. What he puts up, their team's terrible. They haven't won a game, but he's out there with like 27 and 12. Do you know how many teams could use Zion? Can you imagine Zion playing with like Luka as a lob threat or something? Like I don't know. Like it'd be insane. Like some of these guys are very capable. Zion, Ja, if we're specifically talking about them, and I think they both need to move on from their situations. I think a
It's so
fresh start
easy for us
can
to, and I
rebrand
know
the
it's easy
player.
for people to just watch and say, trade your star, trade your franchise guy who's been the guy for, 5 or 6 years or whatever. I know it's a lot to trade your main guy, unless you're Nico Harrison, you just trade him overnight. No one even, everyone's just like out of
Yeah,
nowhere
that
on
was
that. But it does feel like, yeah, like if you get a healthy Zion, which looks like he's healthy right now, or Ja, who his stuff has been primarily off the court. Yeah, he's dealt with some injuries here and there. It's primarily off the court. Man, I just would really like to see them. And I know the Spurs don't have it, like the Spurs organization or the Heat, the Celtics. These are organizations that seem to get the best out of guys. And I really think that these guys, they're still really young, man. Like I'm not giving
sometimes
up.
sometimes a young star player needs to go to a team that's bigger than them. Zion's bigger than the Pelicans. I hate saying it, but it is. The Pelicans have zero culture. They've historically, I'm not talking about currently, historically, we're a very poorly run team in a city that doesn't promote or love the game of basketball. It's a football city. There's zero culture. There's zero winning culture. They don't have any banners up. Half the crowd that comes, they come for the good games to watch the other players score 40. Do you know exactly what I'm talking about? It's
Right.
like when the Lakers played New Orleans, half the crowd is wearing Lakers jerseys. They come to watch the good players hoop against their home team. They ooh and ah every time, Kate Cunningham does a cross. Ooh, what? That's not what you want. I don't want to be wearing a white jersey in front of my home crowd and I'm guarding Ant and Ant hits me with a cross. And the crowd's like, ooh, bro, whose team are you on? Do you understand what I'm saying? That's the
Yeah.
culture of some of these teams. Ja Morant is right now currently is bigger than Memphis Grizzlies. Ja Morant goes to the Boston Celtics. You either fit in or you get out. You go to Miami, where it's like run by Pat Riley. You go to the Golden State. You go to the Spurs. Bro, their culture, the banners, it speaks for itself. You either get in or you either fit in or they get you out of there. And if you don't work out in those places, now you're typecasted as a bad guy. You have to make it work there. You
Yeah.
have to make it work. Just think, it took Kyrie forever. Kyrie didn't work out with the Celtics, and then he went to Brooklyn. People were killing Kyrie for years as a person. Now everyone loves him again. All right, but when you go to these teams where the star is bigger than the whole franchise, how the hell are you going to? It's too much. It rarely works out unless you get someone very humble and low key like a Giannis with Milwaukee, low maintenance, Nikola. These are rare situations where a star is bigger than their franchise, and it's because I don't know if it's the foreign aspect. I don't know what it is. They're very low maintenance to deal with. They're very humble stars. You go somewhere like some of these other guys where Zion has his people running his diet, Zion has people running his health thing, and there's all, you don't get to do that in Miami. They'd be like, who's this dude? We're not hiring him. Look what's happened with the Clippers. They have no culture of winning, right? I love the Clippers. I'm a former Clipper. Kawhi Leonard has his boys running this, and that. It's just a lot. So you have to live and die by what Kawhi wants. That's what they've had to do. When he plays well, it's great. When he doesn't play well, there's no answers. No one knows what's going on because he's bigger than they gave him everything. Some of these other teams don't offer you stuff like that. It's a privilege to play for them. The Lakers ain't giving you that. Remember, that's what he was close to going to LA. Lakers like, we're not hiring you. No, we're not doing all that.
And there was rumors about LeBron in Miami where they wouldn't let his friends fly the plane or things like that. And that's
Fly the
LeBron
plane.
James.
That's
If they're not giving it to LeBron, like
well,
that,
they
the
took away his
organization's bigger.
cookies. That story Dwayne Wade told about LeBron tried to have cookies on the plane and they threw them away because Pat Riley thought they were unhealthy. And LeBron was like, I'm a grown man. Like, that's how that might be too much. That's too much micromanaging. I get it. But like,
If I'm running a team, LeBron could eat as many cookies as he wants. Come
correct.
on.
If I was running a team, I would allow LeBron to have as many cookies as he wants. I wouldn't give a shit. But that's the dynamic of, I think right now with Ja and Zion. I think they've outgrown the situation. I think the organizations on the other end have outgrown it, where they're like, yeah, we've given you everything. This ain't worth it no more. It's two goes both sides too. I'm talking about as a player, from a player perspective, what I see from Ja and Zion. On the other end, I'm sure Memphis is like, oh, we're tired of giving you everything because it ain't leading to winning. So we're just going to rebuild and we're going to suspend you. You're talking about us. This is, you can see where it's at on both
Yeah.
sides. They're sick of this shit. So it's just like, yeah,
Also, it goes
I
both
would like.
ways. Austin, think about this. We're talking about the player who can get a fresh start, like Kevin Garnett going to the Celtics, right? The first year he wins a title, it's a fresh start. Like, man, he should have left Minnesota a long time ago. How about the organization? Remember when the Pacers got off Paul George and it was kind of an ugly ending? After a few years of rebuilding, they ended up going to the finals. So like, it's also good for the organization sometimes to let go and move on and start that rebuilding process.
And it's hard. It's hard to do it. It's hard to do it. I mean, because you flash back and you think of the Pelicans organization, found out they got the number one pick. The entire office was running through the halls, throwing papers like it's the last day of school, because they're like, "Yo, we're gonna get a guy who's gonna change our infrastructure of the city around. He's gonna bring millions into our brand. He's gonna bring billions to the franchise, to the city. We're gonna have a competitive, bro. Pelicans can have a top 2, 3 guy in the NBA. Oh my God, think about that. That's what happened.
Yeah.
These people's lives change when you get a young star like Zion or a Ja who's coming in as a top pick in the draft, 1 or 2 pick in the draft. They were 1 and 2. And then they have the success they have. Remember, game one, he's hitting the threes versus the Spurs. Everybody's just like, yo, this is it. This is our
Yeah.
future right here. This is the guy. And then it just kind of, and again, Zion's still a very, very high level player, but it has not gone the way they've wanted it to go. And there's been trouble on the court and off the court with these dudes, both these players. So you then wonder yourself, and are these great markets for basketball just coincidentally? They're not. When we talk about expansion in the NBA or teams moving, these are usually the first 2 teams that people talk about. When you like listen to Adam Silver, some of these other guys, or all these people talk about expansion teams, Seattle or Vancouver or whoever gets these new teams, Mexico City, Vegas, the teams that people talk about, if we're not going to add a team, if we're talking about moving a team, the first 2 cities that pop up are usually Memphis and New Orleans. It's the first 2 teams.
But what I like about Memphis is that they had those Zach Randolph, Marc Gasol years, and they went to the conference finals. They were good recently. They've proven to be.
That's the only thing that Memphis can have, is that they've proven to be good recently. And over the past 10, 12 years, we can call it, Memphis has been
Yeah.
solid at the very least. They've always had good teams, and their crowd has shown up. Like with
Tough
those
place to
playoff
play.
games, it used to be a very ruckus crowd in there. So they do have a fan base there. What you have to give Memphis the benefit of the doubt over New Orleans. New Orleans, I've just never seen it. The fans only show up when it's the playoffs. They only even have half interest. And even there, the guys, from a knowledge standpoint, it's just not a basketball city. They're like, oh, that right now, AD. They didn't know what was going on. Dante's looking at me like, what the hell is going on? But yeah, that's my take on it. I would like both of those guys to kind of go to a fresh start. Fresh start's exciting. When you get a new player with a new jersey, it like gives life. It gives life not only to the player but the fans. You get excited about seeing a guy in a new situation. So I think where we're at now with both teams, we've seen enough. I would love to see Ja in a new jersey, and it would be exciting to watch Ja in a new situation because he's so talented, and so is Zion. No one's questioning these guys as players if they're capable of being great or not. We know they're great, but for whatever reason, the places that they are drafted to, it's gotten toxic, and it just hasn't produced the best of them as of recently, or for their team.
Yeah, and is this a new thing we're noticing that wasn't really maybe around, or maybe it was back in the '90s or early 2000s, that we're getting now with players like Ja, Zion, maybe LaMelo, or even Trey Young, who gets talked about in his situation, where there's super hyper talented guys, they get their big contracts and stuff, but it just doesn't work out for this organization. Is that just something that we're going to expect now with every top draft pick that comes along, that some of them are just not going to work out and pan out for whatever team drafts them, even though they're
it's just how it
talented,
works,
they're
man.
good, they put up numbers.
I talked to Tim Connolly today, and he said so much of this on our job is luck. He goes, some of these execs walk around like they got a crystal ball or like they got it figured out on what talent is. He said names, but I won't do that.
Don't do
And
that.
he
Don't
was
do
just
that.
like, there are so many guys that look great. You draft them, they just don't pan out, and then they go to a different team and they're playing their ass off. You're like, well, what did we do wrong? You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
just timing, situation, how well a coach gels with the player. Bro, Josh Minot couldn't get a minute for the Timberwolves. Was out the league, back in the league. This guy's playing 30 minutes right now for the Celtics because they have a depleted team with injuries. And he's getting an opportunity to go play, and he's playing good defense. See, people didn't even know him as a defender. They said he couldn't move his feet. Now he's picking up guys full court. He might actually stick there. That's just part of the league. Bones Highland is on his third or fourth team already. Third team. trying to figure out minutes because him and Dillingham are very similar. So he's thrown in another situation again where he's playing with a guy who has a similar game style to him. It's like, but if you got Bones on a team where he just got to go play like Cole Anthony is on Milwaukee, Bones Highland can go score. He's a freak athlete in terms of quick first step and being able to create his own shot. But opportunity is everything. He gets traded to the Clippers. People think he's going to play. Oh, this is Bones. He's going to go crazy. No, they get James Harden and Russell Westbrook. Done. No playing time. That's how crazy. Reed Shepard's a top 5 pick. Got 0 burn last year. He was the 3rd pick in the draft. Couldn't get a minute last year for the Rockets. This is how the NBA is now. So there's no rhyme or reason why some of these guys work. And if you're asking me, do I think going forward some of these top prospects are not going to work out in their situation? Yeah, more than ever. And then they'll go to their 2nd team or 3rd team sometimes and pan out. It's just the way it works. So there's not enough minutes to go around.
Yeah, we talk about Chauncey Billups and Kyle Lowry were 2 guys that found their way after their 2nd or 3rd team, 4th team. Even Ryan Rollins playing this well. He was on the Warriors last year on a 2-way. You don't think they're watching him like, wait,
bro?
We wouldn't have gave that away.
Rollins is now gonna be, if he keeps playing like this. I mean, he already got.
He's untouchable. He's untouchable.
He got paid, but now he's like, they're not going. He's not going anywhere. Now he's one of the guys that we're not trading Ryan. We're not trading Ryan. Isn't that funny how it works? So
he might keep Giannis in Milwaukee.
Right. If you would have told me a few years ago, I remember my first couple practices with Bones, and I'm towards the end of my career. It's like my 9th or 8th year with the Nuggets, and I'm watching Bones play. I'm like, man, this guy is explosive. He's fast. He's exciting. He can shoot from really deep. If you thought 2 years later he'd be on a 10-day, if someone told me that, I'd be like, get it, you don't know basketball. Last year he was on 10 days. Now this year, Tim Connelly gave him another shot. Like, hey, well, you're gonna be, a guy we're gonna sign vet minimum, and it's not even a guaranteed deal. He's like, I need you to just come to practice and show you can smile, show you can be happy. How much of that is about the game? You know what I mean? Bones like, what? You know what I mean? Like, bro, I just want to play. You guys want me to smile? Like but that's how it is. Because Denver shitted on him. They said all type of negative stuff about him. Coming out of there was bad. He had bad press coming out of there. And then he goes to LA. They liked him. He just couldn't get minutes. And now he's in Minnesota. He's got to find his way. It's just tough, man. The NBA is brutal. And it's not always who's the most talented or who's better, because Bones is better than probably 80% of bench players in the NBA. If we're talking skill-wise, it's just about fit, buying in, opportunity. And sometimes I think a lot of these top prospects you will see going forward, especially with how young the NBA is now and how these guys are going to college. These guys are already paid coming in, so they have different attitudes. It's just different talking to an 18-year-old who's never made $1 before versus an 18-year-old who's already ran off 7. AJ's ran off $10 million this year at BYU, whatever he's making. Like, it's just different. So I do believe going forward, some of these young players will be a little bit more impatient with their backgrounds coming in, and some of these situations might not work as well.
Right. You mentioned when you first started playing with Bones and seeing him as a rookie, you played with Emmanuel quickly as a rookie also. And did you see something? Did you know he was going to stick in the NBA? Because he signed obviously a huge deal with the Raptors, but wasn't it the same thing where they came in basically guns blazing? I remember you telling me
very similar.
This guy is confident as hell, shooting the craziest
Bro,
shots.
I remember I just thought it was just me. I thought I had the bad luck. I went from playing with I had Quickly, who just came in firing, and then I go to Denver, and then Bones comes. I'm like, what the f is this? Who are these young guards who are these guys just coming in just firing shots all the time? But that's the way all these guys are now in the NBA. They're all these young dudes that come in blazing. I always knew Quickly could figure it out. Now, did I know he's going to sign the contract he signed? No. But he's good. He's always been good. He's a workhorse too. I never get surprised by the workers. I don't like to overlook guys I see in the gym. Manuel Quickly lives in the gym. He was always one of the hardest working guys he probably was. In terms of gym time for the Knicks, it was him or Julius Randle, 1 and 2, who was in that gym the most. And Quickly lives in that, bro. So it's like those guys, I'm not surprised when they get paid or they play well or they go to a team and it works. People like guys who work like that. So.
Gotcha. So before we wrap, you're in New York right now. You're covering the Nets Timberwolves game tonight. Yeah. How do you like your assignment being in New York?
We got a big game tonight.
Are you a New York guy? I feel like obviously you spent a lot of time in LA. You played in LA.
Yeah, I could see myself living here.
Too much time in New York.
I could see myself living here for sure. not full time, but we're gonna get a place here, and I'm gonna be here a lot. Me and my family would like to be here a lot more. There's zero reason for me to be in Orlando 300 plus days of the year. There's absolutely nothing other than my kids. There are nothing there that's keeping me in that damn city. And
How
I
dare you
love
do this to me on the
Orlando.
pod? How dare you do
I,
this?
I I love Orlando, and I love the simplicity that comes with it. And I love my family and my kids growing up there because it's a good place to raise your kids. Outside of that, I would like to be up here a little bit more.
But I think
So
you would like to have the option of both, right? Because if you're in New York full time, let's say, that
well,
you're gonna miss
I
being
would
able
never
to.
live here full time. No, I would
Yeah,
never live here
you're
full
gonna miss
time. I
being
don't
able to
want to
park
take.
on Park Ave right in front of the restaurant you want to go to.
Well,
Free
for one,
parking and just walk right in.
I'm not living in the cold, so that's out. And New York's really cool right now, but in a month from now, this place is. I don't want to be in New York in December. Well, actually, December is gorgeous here with Christmas. It's like the prettiest Christmas city in the world. But like January, February, March, I don't want to. I don't want to be in New York. It's gonna be a brick outside. It's cold and gray and every day. No, but summertime, I'd love to be here. It's nice to have an alternative place because there's things that New York has that Orlando. There's things that Orlando has that New York does not have. And I think Orlando's a much better place for me personally to raise my kids. I love greenery. I grew up in Florida. I'm a Florida kid. And the weather in Florida and Orlando is unbelievable right now. Like, you get November through March is gorgeous down there. And then after that, it gets really, really hot and humid, which we could maybe come up here a lot more. So we'll always be based in Florida. I'll always be a Winter Park guy. I'll always be an Orlando guy. I love it. But I have hit my head in my ceiling there. Um, to where I'm just like, man, I love it here, but I would like to get out and like meet people and like network and actually like live in a city where like people inspire me. Um, so that's what I would. That's just being honest. That's anybody. I don't give a fuck where you're from. You come to New York, man. You walk around for like 3 days. You're just like, man, this place is cool. You just feel it
Yeah.
here. That's why people come here and never leave. This isn't talking shit about Orlando. This is more talking up New York. Because I love Orlando. There's a reason why I've been there still. There's a reason why I'm there now. I love it, but yeah, my head is like, bro, I'm at the ceiling like this. Pausha. So yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready to get something somewhere else and spend my time somewhere else, man. But do you not feel this? How do you feel about that? You
Orlando,
know,
Orlando. I've lived in LA. I've lived in different cities. I understand every city has its own charm. Like you and me both agree that Houston's an awesome city. And that's where people are still motivated. They're trying to do things. The weather's pretty good all the time.
there are cities that have both. There are cities that have
Yeah.
both the weather and
The
like
Dallases,
Dallas,
the Houstons. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Austin, Houston. It's like a nice in between where you get the happening, but you get the good weather all year round. Like there's only a few of those though. You know what I mean? New York, you get everything, but it's freezing like 5 months of the year that you don't want to be here. But so it's like, but even that New York in the winter is still dope.
No,
You just
for
have to
sure.
get
Yeah.
used to it. Like December, Christmas here is like there's nothing like it. The whole city celebrates Christmas in a whole different. It's the coolest place to be during that time. The holidays in New York in general, the festivals, the parades, like everything here. It's like the coolest thing to even raise a family to have. It would be cool here. Um, so we'll visit. We're gonna get something up here and be up here quite often. But Florida, Orlando will be our base, be our home always. I love that place.
And wherever you
Not
go, I
to
think both of us try to romanticize wherever. Even no matter what city you've played in, I'm sure you try to make it. You'll find your local coffee shop, your Park Ave, if you will.
Yeah, I was in Minnesota. Me and Adriana would venture out to places, Edina, Wayzata. We'd find little places that we can go get food, go get lunch, go get a coffee, go shop, good place to take the kids. You're gonna find your niche in every city. You know what I'm saying? You find your pockets. Um, but I, some are harder than others. I looked in New Orleans, I never found it. It's like in New Orleans, it was like playing a game of hide and go seek. I never found the guy. He just kept hiding. I never.
Are you covering? Are you covering a Pelicans game for NBC this year?
Bro, listen.
I might have to fly in there with you.
If,
We'll
if
find it. We'll
NBC asks me to do a New Orleans game, I'm going to plead the fifth. I'll cover their game. I just don't want to be down there. A lot of it doesn't even have to do with New Orleans, the city. It has everything to do with my time there. It's so scarring. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, of course. There's trauma. There's trauma
yeah,
there.
Yeah, there was so much drama. There's so much like trauma with me playing for that team that like I'm not even able to be subjective and be non-biased and like actually think of New Orleans and all the bright things it does have to offer and all the good things because it has beautiful people down there, very friendly, warm, welcoming people that live in New Orleans, and they do have a great food scene. There are cool things about New Orleans. Who are we kidding? And it is warm most of the year down there too. So like there's a lot there. I don't care about any of it. Every time I think about New Orleans, I just think about just everything I went. I can't stand that place.
I'm sure every
I don't even want.
player that's played in the NBA a long time has their own city that they're like, they just, no matter what, even if the city's awesome, they have their memories there from
No,
their
think
playing
about
days.
it. There's guys who have played for Orlando. They're like, man, I hate that city. I'm like, how? How do you hate this city? I'm like, I love Orlando. I have players that play. They're like, nah, fam, I'm not coming back there. I'm like, whoa. It hurts almost. You're like, how could he? He doesn't know about Winter Park. He's like, no, I know. I've been to Winter Park. I've been to San Diego. I'm good. I'm like, damn.
It's more about what
Well,
was happening on the court. Yeah.
again, there's more factors there. If he was averaging 20 and life was good, he'd be walking around Park Ave with a little Barney's coffee in his hand, and everything would be smooth. But you don't
Right.
play minutes, and like you hate the coach, you hate everything. It's just it's how it works, man. Your environment of your job is always going to control like your outlook of how you look, of where you're at. And again, that's why I'm speaking so highly on New York, just in terms of growth. I think for me to reach certain levels, marketing wise, business wise, I do got to get out of Winter Park.
Gotcha.
So that's where that's at. But anyways, man, for the people listening, thank you for tuning in. We'll be back later in the week. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow us on Instagram or TikTok, the Off Guard Podcast. You can now listen to us on Apple. We have the link up. It'll be in my bio. I'll obviously post it when these clips come out as well. We're still working on the Spotify transfer from over from the Ringer, so that will be here soon with NBC as well. But for now, you can listen to it, like I said, on Apple, and you can go watch our videos full episodes on YouTube. As we get everything underway, we'll continue to kind of make it a lot easier for our audience to find out where to listen, how to listen, and this should be done within the next couple of weeks. So we're working on it. Thank y'all for tuning in. Everybody have a safe week. Pausha, you got anything before we close?
No, good luck tonight. Looking forward to listening to you call the game.
I appreciate it, man. Y'all have a good one.